Go ahead, ask again, please.
Yeah. So the question is like the book which is here right now, was it meant to be in a like a physical form back then? Say during the time of Prophet Muhammad, if he had already had everything in the book form, like okay, so this is your final book, this is it, okay. But the Hadith Saqlain, it says I'm leaving behind two heavy things, which is the Itrat and the book. So it was in a book form then. So what was he leaving back, right? Because you have to think logically, like, so if he's leaving two heavy things, but the Quran wasn't there till after 200 years, so was he leaving the Bayat was, I mean, the Itrat was there, and what was the second? The book wasn't there. I mean, okay, so my question is, was it meant to be in a book form, or if it wasn't, if it was already in a book form and everything ready to go, so then there won't be addition and subtractions and additions, or which ayat goes where, which surahs goes where, which all this confusion won't be there. So there's one standard Quran for all the ummah. I mean, that's my question.
Okay. So we're going to talk in favor of the book, and we're going to also talk in not favor of the book in the language of Allah. What does Allah says? Okay. So you are absolutely right. Allah complains in the Quran of the people of the Musa at the time of Torah. Allah says, I sent down the book in the shape of a nur, and you guys, as a complaint, turn it into the pages, karatis. So the keyword is karatis. If you want to look it up, look for word karatis. They turned it into the pages or the book. Allah complains about it in the Quran of the people of the Musa. Now, having said that, Muhammad said, I'm leaving a book. So now we need to look for a word, al-kitab or kitab, or kitabun, or kitab-e-mubin. If we look at all those words in the Quran, then in the Quran you will find kitab mentioned again and again and again and again. And especially in the three places you will say, I have sent down a book and a nur. And in another place you will say, I have sent down the nur and the book. In another place you will say, I have sent down the book so it may guide. Meaning emphasize both put on a book. So why book? And what kind of book? One is a paper book, a written book, and which we call Quran-e-Samit, the silent Quran. And there is a famous event that took place in Jang-e-Safin, where Maula Ali says that I am the speaking book. Meaning there is a silent book.
Quran-e-Natiq.
Yeah, I am the Quran-e-Natiq. Meaning there is a silent book. Because if he says I am the speaking book, he was referring to some other book which was not speaking, which was silent. That's number one. Number two, one time when they were reading or reciting the Quran, the way it was revealed, when Maula Ali came to that one ayat, or the word of the ayat, where it says that Quran will speak to you, Maula Ali took that, whatever leaves or whatever the form it was written in, and put it on top of his head and says, O Quran, speak. Because Allah says Quran will speak to you. And Ali said, O Quran, speak. Quran will speak. Then Ali said, I am the speaking Quran. Right? Meaning there are two kind of books. One is a silent book and one is the speaking book. So Imam of the time, or the Imam of Ali Nabi Aulad Ali, are always the living, speaking book. We cannot just say speaking. Living, speaking book. If we leave the living part out, then someone can say, yeah, Mullah Ali was the speaking book. No, it's a living, speaking book, meaning always has to be living. Always has to be living. Right? So there are two books. So why do we need a silent book or the form we have? Because there is a promise of Allah to us that I'm sending down two things for you. And that is a promise of the Prophet or the inheritance of the Prophet to the Ummah. That I'm leaving two things behind. A book and my Ithrat, my progeny. Why do we need both? So let's take today's time. It's easy to understand. Let's say we did not have this book. How many of us can learn the Quran from the Quran directly today? Hardly any. I would not say none, hardly any. Then those hardly any people, few of them, how many can they reach and teach the Quran they learn from the Imam? Hardly any again. And then when they would give that knowledge that they received from the Imam, how many people will believe it? Hardly any. You see? So what do we need? We need a written book in the form that everyone can read. So the Hujjat-e-Allah will not, baki na reh jawe, Khuda ke upar hujjat baki na reh jawe. So there will be no blame on Allah that you did not leave us something for us to follow. We did not have the guidance. So let's say a Muslim who does not believe in Imam, he cannot say, Ya Allah, you did not leave me a guidance. You left me all out without any guidance. And Allah says, well, I sent the Imam. But I didn't even know the Imam. I lived in Alaska. What is Imam? I even never heard of Imam. But everybody has heard of Quran. Muslim or no Muslim, they all know Quran. So there is no blame on Allah and there's no lack of guidance. Now, there is other reason for the book. You cannot recognize the Imam. What does it mean, recognize the Imam? You will not be able to find or understand the Imam without the book, which is Kalmae Bari Ta'ala, the words of the Allah. You cannot find or understand the Imam. Even today, even as a smiley, if a smiley says, oh, I know my Imam. Yeah, you know your Imam, but do you recognize your Imam? Do you understand your Imam? How is he Wakul Shahin? How is he living and speaking Quran? And when Imam says, I am the one who will interpret the Quran for you. Have you seen Imam coming into any of this breakfast table and say, okay, bring the Quran, let me do the interpretation for you? Have anybody seen that? No. So Imam and Allah has a way of teaching. So what he does, he gives the book in your hand so you may read and understand him. Once you understand him, he will do the interpretation for you personally. Personally, he will do the interpretation for you. Why would he do that? Because that's his promise. Hazir Imam, this Jama, and you go back and all the Imam, they have always done the interpretation of Quran. But we have never seen it. Why? Because we have never picked up this book. So you need a book to learn and understand the Imam. So Imam may teach you and make you understand the book and wisdom in this Quran. So you need both. And that is the promise of the Allah in this book. So you do need a book, number one. Number two, at the time of Mullah Ali, and Osman was still there. So within that 40, 60 years, from Abu Bakr to Umar to Osman, when Osman started to compile all the scripts, Mullah Ali went and gave him, or wanted to give him, all the scripts collection that he had. And Osman said, no, the scripts that I have collected from different sources is good enough for me. I do not need your script. So Mullah Ali kept his script, and Osman kept whatever he had collected, and then he forwarded those scripts. They had collected all the scripts again and again and again, and then they did the formation that we have today. And they formatted all that in the way that not only Arabic, because now the Islam was all the way from Middle East to the Persia, all the way to Russia, and on this side all the way to Lisbon and Spain, into the Europe, including the Africa, because North Africa was the first place that brother of Mullah Ali, the Jafar, went to take the Islam. So Africa was already covered. But in the Europe and all the way into the Asia, all the way to the Russia today, people did not speak Arabic. So only way they could read and understand Quran if they had added those shapos. So they can have the correct pronunciation and correct understanding of a word. So the book form was necessary for us to have something in front of us, something we can keep in home, and then we can learn and understand the Imam. Or we can find the Imam. We can prove, if somebody says, can you prove the Imam is the Imam Barhaq? How would you prove that our Imam is the Imam Barhaq? Not from Quran, not from Farman, from Quran. Because Quran has proof of the Imamat and the Imam. Quran also have a proof of Imam is the Ali Allah, which we are even afraid to say today. The Quran talks about it openly. Quran talks about it openly, but we are afraid to say it. Did you want to add a question?
So when you said like Hazrat Ali had his own scripture, so what happened to that version? Is that version still there somewhere, or this is the final version? Are there two versions of Quran? I mean, I know the whatever Imam says right now is both to Quran, which we understand, but just for literally sense, like this is the only Quran version, or there is a version for from Hazrat Ali or you know what is it?
So originally there were 40 paras, 40 sections. 10 sections are strictly in the favor of Ali.
Okay.
So those 10 sections were left out
By the Khalifa or whoever
the Khalifa was at that time.
Okay.
Remember, there were two groups from the day one.
Yeah.
Right? So because the Quran was compiled by the Sunni at that time, or the Shia and Mawiyah, they compiled the Quran, not the Shia and Ali, because there were not very many. It says there were, at the time of Mullah Ali's Khilafah, the true Mu'mineen were only 17. And Mullah Ali is one of the calls that if I had 40 believers, only 40, I would declare my imamat.
Oh, wow.
And there's a number that says there were only 17, not even 40. So there's no way those 17 could have compiled the Quran. But the Quran still was compiled by the Shias later on, and there's only one or maybe few copies of that in Iran with the 40 paras. So, and they even know who has it. When it was asked that why don't you bring this and make a mass production of it, mass printing of it. And he's a wise man. He said, if I do that, there will be so much bloodshed in Islam, there will be no more Islam. There will be no more Islam. But now, so is this Quran good for us? That's the question. So someone asked Sultan Muhammad Shah about that. That what is this Quran good for us? Is this good enough for us? And Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah said, even after all that had happened, all the ayahs and surah they were taken out, they could not hide the Imam and the Nur of Imam from this Quran. So this Quran is good enough for you. If you read this Quran, then you will understand the Imam. In other places, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah says, if I only had 12 missionaries,
young boys to teach them.
yeah, if I only had 12 young missionaries who would read the Quran, then I would personally teach them Quran.
Yeah, I've read that for one.
Right? And then someone was saying that, we don't need Quran because Imam is a Quran, nothing, we don't need a Quran. So we did a little bit of research to see, did Sultan Muhammad Shah or did Hazrat Imam ever ask us to read Quran? And we have a Faramin from 57 to 2007. And when we started research, we found more than 100 references where Imam talks about Quran. We stopped after that. I'm sure there is more. But for our research purposes, when we got to the 100 number, it's okay. Yeah, we got it. Imam emphasized on Quran. Because without the Quran, we will not be able to understand or recognize the Imam. And as a Ismaili, that is the sole purpose of an Ismaili to understand and recognize the Imam of the time. Gee. So you had a question you wanted to add?
Oh, I think Congressman may have asked you earlier if Surah Toba was, instead of being Surah number 9, was the first Surah in the Quran, how that could have impacted, given we only have 12 million Ismailis today and 1.2 billion non-Ismailis Muslims. Would that have had any impact on that? Because if Ali is the door, it would have been the first surah instead of number 9.
Right.
So if you could elaborate.
Yeah, sure. So remember, we always have to remember the mercy of Allah. If Surah Toba was number 1, the door to the mercy would be closed. Completely. Because there was no door. So where would the mercy be? Just like a human, what do? We always give chances to our children when they make a mistake. To repent, to correct themselves. So they had a chance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? They had a chance. But why number 9? Why not number 10? And why not number 8? It could not have been number 8 or 10. Had to be number 9. And why number 9? What is so important about number 9?
So,
We all go to Plano Jamatana. Plano Jamatana was built on number 9. So our Jamatana, Plano Jamatana I'm talking about, was built on number 9. So if you, where you sit, if you look to the right, on main side, there are 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then there is one hole in the middle, and then there is 1, 2, 3, 4.
9.
So 4, 4, and 1 in the middle. That's number 9. If you look up on those octagon, there are 3s, 3, and 3. 9 again. If you look on carpet on the floor, same octagon on top, there's a 3, 3, and 3. And if you go outside, you will find 9 everywhere. Even in that, where the windows are, there are 5 windows. There are 5 windows there.
4
right?
hours.
Yeah, there are 5. And then if you look carefully, if you count everything in between, that will be 9. total of 9. The way they read it. So there is 4 of those and 9, 5 you can do. So beautifully put a 9 number there everywhere.
Yeah.
The significance of 9 in the ranks of Hudud-e-Din, number 9, the hierarchy of the ranks of religion, the number 9 stands for Mullah Ali himself. So what are those numbers? The number 1 stands for Mustajib, number 2 stands for Mazun, number 3 stands for Mazun al-Mutallaq, number 4 stands for Da'i, number 5 stands for Da'i Mutallaq, number 6 stands for Hujjat, number 7 stands for Hujjat-e-Azam, ya Bab, number 8 stands for Imam-e-Zaman, number 9 stands for Asaz, Mullah. And there is a 10, 11 and 12. We can talk about that in a minute. So number 9 itself stands for Mullah Ali. So putting Quran and the Surah Toba on number 9, it gives a pause and a thought to a reader. And the people with a little bit of knowledge of religion and hierarchy, not only Ismailis, they will all know. Even the Sufis and people in Tariqah, they will all know that number 9 stands for Ali. Because that is the surah God wanted all people who read Quran to pay attention to. That is the surah. So what is so important about this surah? What is so important about surah? So in the surah, there are a few things we can mention, but especially surah number 32. Surah number 9, ayat number 32, which is 32 ayat in Surah Toba, is the one that Allah wanted to bring attention to. Whoever reads Quran. And there is what? There are some people, they are trying to blow away the nur of Allah with their false arguments. How can someone blow away Allah's nur? Is Allah's nur available? Can I go outside and find Allah's nur? And I can go and blow away His nur? Can I get on top of a mountain and find Allah's nur? And blow away His nur? Where would I find Allah's nur that people are trying to blow away? Meaning Allah's nur is present in the world. And people are trying to blow away their nur with their mouth's air, false argument. And that is the nur which is in Imam, and that is the nur that people are trying to blow away. And they have tried it. How many Imams have they martyred? 20?
17 or
20.
20.
20, right? Out of 49, 20 Imams were murdered. Right? And so they constantly try to blow away Imam's nur or Allah's nur. But look at what he says after that in same ayah. But I will protect my nur. Matter of fact, I will complete my nur. And look at Imams today. Nobody is trying to blow away Imam's nur anymore. He had protected it and he had completed it. Just as his promise. Because of this ayat in this surah, people have to stop at this point in this surah and think, who is trying to blow away Allah's nur? You cannot even try. Even if you try, you cannot blow away Allah's nur because you cannot even see it. Things that you cannot see, how can you harm it? It's out of your reach. You cannot. This is the ayah that Allah is saying that Surah Toba is the one that stands for Ali, number 9. Without the door of Ali, you cannot enter. Meaning there is no mercy, because if you enter without the Ali, then your soul will be taken out, your intellect will be taken out, and you may look alive, but you will be without the soul and intellect. Meaning, like an animal. You'll be without the soul and without the intellect. So you may look living, but you will not be living. So that is the reason it had to be number 9 for the symbol and for the understanding purposes that people has to think when they come to number 9. Even when people thought they were compiling the Quran, it was compiled in the way Allah wanted them to compile. Remember, Allah puts things in your head and you will do exactly what He wants. Ji.
I'd like to add that, Hazram in his speech in Brown University, Mallah, the way he introduced himself, he says, I am the direct descendant of Prophet Muhammad. That nobody can blow away his nur. He is here. After so many, in history, Imams have been martyred and they've tried everything that Imam had to live in Dwar-e-Satar, like in a veil. But his nur has been completed and it is evident today, and he's announcing it very clearly that I'm direct descendant of Prophet Muhammad, who is the descendant of Ibrahim. So his progeny continues from that time. Amazing.
So this, since you brought this up, that he says, my progeny not only continued from Prophet Muhammad, but from Ibrahim. So now we are talking about Ali Nabi, Aulad Ali, and Ali Ibrahim also. So there is a beautiful ayat in Quran, I believe it's 333, which says that, Surah Imran, ayat number 33, that Allah promises that I have selected the Adam, and I have selected the Noah, and I have selected and given the higher ranks to Ibrahim and his progeny, and to Imran and his progeny. So when Imam says, I am the Ali Nabi, Aulad Ali, and then he says, I am also the Ali Ibrahim, in Quran, that's what it says. I have selected and given Buzrugi, given higher ranks to Ibrahim and his progeny. So we all understand Ibrahim and his progeny. What about Imran and his progeny? Who's Imran? Do we know? Anyone?
Abu Talib.
Abu Talib. Well, Ali's father, Abu Talib, was his kunyat. What is kunyat? At the time of when you have your first son, their father will change his name to whoever his first son is.
Yeah.
So he was called Abu Talib, the father of Talib. And they will feel proud of it. Father of Talib. Abu Talib. Abu Muttalib. Imran was his name, Abu Talib was his kunyat. So in Quran, the mention of Imran is there, that I have selected and given Buzrugi to Ali Ibrahim and Ali Imran, meaning all the Imams up till today and going forward.
So who's Abu Turayb? This personality, Abu Turayb, right?
Abu Turab.
Turab, sorry.
क्या बोला होता है अबू तुराब का?
मिट्टी का father.
Father of the matti, of the soul. What does it mean?
Amirul Mu'minin.
Amirul Mu'minin. इसका मतलब होता है Amirul Mu'minin. क्योंकि मिट्टी equals to Mu'min. Then he is the father of the Mu'min.
So when Ghazi Imam says my spiritual children, it's not just like a literal, like there's much more behind.
Yeah. Ji.
Indeed, Allah chose Adam and Noah and the family of Abraham and the family of Imran over the worlds.
So Allah ने आदम और नोहा और आले इब्राहिम और आले इमरान को तमाम दुनिया वालों पर तरजीह देकर मुंतखब किया.
So we can see, for us to have a good understanding of the knowledge of the Imam and our tariqah, we have to have understanding of Quran. You know, the way we read it, way we pay attention to underlined words, so important. Because otherwise, it will be like in Imam's word, if you don't understand it, you follow, you are nothing more than a monkey. That's the Imam's word. If you follow it and if you don't know, you are nothing more than a monkey. We must understand our tariqah. And as a young generation, we don't do anything we don't understand. You know, how many times we tell our parents, Mom, I don't understand what you're saying. Because you want to understand before you do anything. Look at the way we do our business. We do so much study. Look at the way we choose our colleges. We do so much study, research. Before we choose anything, even if you are buying a TV, you wanted to compare it with all the other TVs to see which one is better. How come we don't do research on our tariqah?
Even for box of cereal, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to compare and get the feedback, like, okay, which one is better.
So how come we don't pay attention, you know, and do some kind of research on our tariqah? See how Imam has continued. As a Ismaili, okay, so let's say you have a friend who's non-Ismaili or not even Muslim. Tell me one single miracle of the Imam. Just tell me one. If you had to give me one miracle of Imam, what the miracle would be? See, we will not be able to answer it. We should have a vocabulary of praises for our Imam. We should be able to use it. Now I'm just asking for one.
I have a few, but
Gee.
I think during the, I think Imam, when Imam wasn't in the Joma, he was like, he was in a Joma too, okay? So I've listened this in the wires. So he was doing the Didars in Africa, you know, it was very hard. So, and back then there was no AC or anything, and you know, all the Mukhi Kamedia and everybody was literally sweating. So Hazrat Imam asked, you know, okay, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, it's just too hot, you know. So when Hazrat Imam was leaving after the Didar, you know, like he was meeting everyone, and he was, the Mukhi Sahib said, that it's just too hard. So like, okay, so wait, I'll do something, you know. Okay, so after 4 hours, it rained so much, like it was so cold, like everybody had to pull their jackets and everything from the closets and everything, because the Imam was waiting for all the Jamaat to get to their homes and everything, and then came the cold front. So that was one thing that I read, I mean, this one in the wise.
So that is called Hissi Majiza.
Temporary.
Hissi means temporary. Something the Imam does temporary.
Okay.
I'm talking about, do we know one single permanent miracle of Imam which never goes away? Ever. One permanent miracle.
Nurul ala
Looks
Nur,
like.
just Imam ke
Yeah. No. So what she's saying? That Imam always have a male progeny. Imam always have a son. In the world, no one can say that I always will have a son. But Imam can say that. Imam always have a son. Doesn't matter how far you want to go back. This does not matter. If you want to go all the way to Adam, you can. And then you start the study. That's why I said we do need to have a study, a research done on our own tariqah, so we may understand. How can we be a da'i and representative of Imam if we don't even understand our own religion, our own tariqah, our own Imam? So this is the permanent miracle of the Imam. Okay, now one single miracle in Jamaatana. If you have to say, okay, what is a single miracle in Jamaatana? And I'm not talking about temporary, permanent miracle in Jamaatana. Yeah, our madhab is true madhab. We have to have miracles. Something that we see it every day and don't pay attention. Because miracle is supposed to be that, that you'll be like, wow, really? That's what miracle is. What is the one single miracle in Jamaatana? Every day.
Didar of Imam.
Dua,
Or
appointments.
Right? Niyaz. And you will say, what do you mean niyaz?
Oh,
All thousands of people drink from one single pyali and nobody gets sick. अब आप हमारे घर पे आते हैं, आप वो बोलती है मेरे को थोड़ी खांसी है, मेरा कब अलग से रखना, राइट? और मेरे को फ्लू हो गया तो let me not touch you, I'm not going to say I'll not touch you because I have a flu. और किसी को फ्लू होता है तो हम हैंड सैनिटाइजर यूज करते हैं. We don't touch the knobs. जॉब पे किसी को फ्लू होता है तो उसको बोलते हैं तुम घर में जाओ. You see that? People with the flu, with the cough and whatever, we are drinking from same pyali and nobody gets sick. Otherwise there should be
Separate. Yeah.
health emergency within Jamaatana. Everybody drinking from one single pyali and nobody gets sick.
ये मैंने कहीं सुना था कि अगर
Epidemic
आपको
होनी चाहिए.
नियाज का अगर अहमियत का पता चले, अगर आप चल भी नहीं सकते बोलते कि क्रॉल करते हुए आओ जमात खाने ऐसा के.
So you see that?
There's
That's
the
the
two
miracle.
kinds of niyaz, right? There's Abe Shafa and Abe Sifa, like that is after the Qaim Karanji is over. Right? I mean,
People made that up.
Is
Don't
that-
believe that.
no.
Abe Shafa is Abe Shafa. See that thing sitting there? Right, that's Abe Shafa.
Okay.
Because when they prepare the Abe Shafa, when they give the dua, even if I drink this tomorrow, this is Abe Shafa. Right? Yeah. Sometimes when we don't understand things, then we just start to make up things. Do this before, or somebody else was telling us, I don't know क्या, कि अगर तुम्हारे पास ये मसला है, so don't drink the niyaz until the दुआ कायम खत्म हो जावे, इसके बाद होगा.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
I see a lot of people are literally waiting
Where do you get all this from?
to get to the niyaz as soon as the Qaim Karanji is over. They're like,
I know,
okay,
right?
And some people drink twice. They drink Pahle piya, then like, okay, I have to have this niyaz.
So in a belief system, it's a good thing. Because if that's what you believe, that's fine. There's no harm. But logically, and our religion is a logical religion.
There's no hocus pocus.
There is no hocus pocus in
I
our
like
system.
that.
Right? There is no hocus pocus in our tariqah. We just don't say things or do things just because we are doing it. I mean, you take anything. Think of anything in Jamaatana. Any rites and ritual. There is no hocus pocus. Everything has a particular meaning to it. Everything. May that be a Nandi or Memani or Awal Sufra or Niyaz or Chanta, Dua Karani or whatever Majalis, 3-time Dua, the song. Everything has a particular meaning to it. Just for your thoughts, and we may not answer it today, just think about it when you guys go home. Why do we have a niyaz on Friday, not on Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday?